We are in a great mood on a Monday morning. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jen Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. This is Nick Wright. We had a fantastic weekend of football. Some basketball news sprinkled in. Patriots got blown out. Big trade in the NBA, but why not start with that Sunday night game between a pair of rivals in the NFC East? Eagles and Cowboys. Some tempers flaring at the start of this one. This was a defensive battle till the fourth when Dak Prescott found Ezekiel Elliott, and Dallas goes up 20-13 over those Eagles. Next drive, Birds respond. Carson Wentz to Zach Ertz. It's a 1-yard TD, their second connection of the night. We're even up at 20. Dallas would answer. Zeke taking the lead on the 1-yarder with just over 3 minutes to go. Last play of the game. Eagles try to find a little magic and cannot get it done, spoiling Golden Tate's first night as an Eagle. Cowboys win 27-20, keeping their season alive at 4-5. Here is Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott after the win.
Our backs were against the wall. With the team we have, we weren't, as you saw tonight, we were throwing punches and we weren't covering up. We were coming out fighting, and it happened early. Missed the third down. Coach Garrett goes for it on fourth down. We were just at them the whole time. So we're not going to stop. Regardless of the record, we're moving forward. We've got a great team, as I've always said. With the character of this team, when we're down 2 games. It wasn't over for us. We knew the people we have, the team we have, and we're just steady moving forward in everything that we do.
I know this one hurt. This one hurt. Obviously, Sunday Night Football, divisional opponent, the Cowboys coming into our home. Really, the way we've played the last couple times at home, that's not what we pride ourselves on, and this one hurt. So I know we got a lot of veterans in there, a lot of leadership, and, like you said, like Coach said, and I'm going to keep echoing the same thing, we all got to look in the mirror. What can we do differently? Where can we be better? And we realized a lot of people are going to want to write us off at this point, and now it's just time to play ball and try and go shock some people.
As it currently stands, both the Eagles and the Cowboys are tied at 4-5 in the division right now. We'll talk about the Cowboys, but let's start from the Eagles' perspective. See, I'll start with you. How disappointing of a loss was this for the Eagles?
It's got to be disappointing because also we've been tracking the head coach, Doug Peterson. I try to tell you guys, even though, and Nick is also talked about this quite often, that even though you win a Super Bowl, that don't make you a great coach. And we've seen him say some things in press conferences. Remember a couple weeks ago, they're going to start having fun again? Mm-hmm. Okay, now what do you do? Because at 4-5, it is a disappointing season. They're not the only Super Bowl champion that we've ever seen come back with a disappointing season. No, but we haven't seen them react the way the Eagles have. They can't be physical from an offensive standpoint. You can't say the reason why we loved them last year in the playoffs, they got better big people. No, they don't. They got a good defensive line. Their defensive line hadn't been dominant, hadn't been game-changing, and the type of injuries that they have on the back end of that secondary right now, that allows them from being consistent in playing great football. But when it boils down to the Eagles, their eyes will be on their offense, their inability for their offensive line to play effective, run the football, to give Carson Wentz a few more options. This is the most disappointing loss of the Eagles this season.
It's disappointing, and to me it's shocking because the Eagles had the time to prepare. The Cowboys were coming off what I thought was a give-up loss, the game against the Titans. Like, I will give Jason Garrett credit because they didn't give up. But to come into this football game knowing that Washington is as vulnerable as they are, knowing that the Cowboys are coming off, they had to be emotionally at their lowest point they've been all season long. Maybe that Titans game, the lowest point they'd been since Dak and Zeke came into the league, certainly since the moment Zeke's suspension became official. Like, to not take advantage of that, to have opportunity after opportunity, to have the Cowboys in 3rd and 15 at the end of the first half, where you get them off the field there, you might take the lead going into halftime, and you let a little screen pass out to the side.
They pretty much just gave up. It was a give-up screen.
Yes.
They were not expecting. They just wanted to get a completion to keep the clock running.
To force the Eagles to use their last timeout.
Yes.
The Cowboys, as soon as they took that sack at the end of the first half, their entire goal of that drive was make the Eagles use all 3 timeouts.
Yes.
And despite that, they end up getting a touchdown out of the drive. How about the fact that the Eagles, despite all of that, tied the game 13-13 in the second half, and what their defense did after that was allow a 7- and 8-play, 75-yard touchdown drives. When your season is on the brink against an offense that came into the game in the bottom 6 of the NFL in points scored, You give up back-to-back 75-yard touchdown drives. This is as disappointing of an at least first half of a season from a defending Super Bowl champ that I can remember. We have had some defending Super Bowl champs miss the playoffs, but to be on pace for a 6 or 7 win season is indefensible, given that they not only brought essentially everyone back, Jenna, but they added pieces. They added pieces at the deadline. They got their quarterback back, and Wentz is playing great still. You can't put this on Carson Wentz. This is a terrible loss for Philadelphia.
I was going to echo a number of those points, mainly being it would be easy to say, well, they finally got Carson Wentz back. It took them a couple weeks to get into the rhythm. There were a lot of pieces around this Eagles team you can point at. You can't point at the kind of play that Carson Wentz is having these days. Let's talk about it from the other perspective, from Dallas. Could this put them back in the driver's seat? Could they make a playoff push, given that they finally came out with a big win in the division, and they looked, at least last night, like pieces were starting to fall into place?
Well, the biggest difference last night was the offensive line did create some holes. It seems as if the offensive line for the Cowboys is playing better since they've made the coaching change. So I felt that was one of the big difference. And last night, there were some good players on the field, but none better than Ezekiel Elliott. And he dominated that football game. And he was able to get to the second level of that defense because the offensive line, they didn't allow penetration. He was not getting hit in the backfield. And you can see why he's a special runner. This open field run right here, I haven't seen a run that's any better than that. At full speed, 230 pounds to be a hurdle, a safety. So it was a special performance by Ezekiel. But if this offensive line plays this way, in spots, this is the way the Cowboys have to look. Physically, they have to be dominant. You could see Dak made some plays with his arm and some legs, but Dak's not going to throw for 300, 350 yards. This is the way they're going to have to win football games if they're going to be able to sustain the victory from last night.
I want to give the Cowboys credit. They hadn't won a road game all year. They did that. I thought they were going to let go of the rope. It seemed, hell, our friend Skip Bayless threw his Dak jersey away. That's how bad it had gotten in Dallas. And they came out in their biggest game of the season and beat the defending champs. Jason Garrett, I think, proved his ability to keep a team together on a short week when the other team's coming off a bye, really adverse circumstances. And I will also add, the addition of Amari Cooper, you can see how it makes the other receivers' jobs easier. Even though Amari didn't have a huge game, you can see that there are bigger windows to throw in for Dak, and obviously Zeke was absolutely tremendous. But the systemic issues for the Cowboys are still that in a league where 33 guys have thrown for 300 yards this year in a league with only 32 teams, Dak still ain't one of them. 270 is what he had last night. That's where he about maxes out. And in 2018 NFL, when we are seeing what all of these passing attacks are doing, and you're seeing that even the Cowboys, as well as they played yesterday, with 30 seconds left in the first half, had 6 points. This doesn't change my opinion. The Cowboys are a mediocre football team.
But if you can get 250 out of Dak every week, and Zeke can have a game like he did yesterday, 19 carries, 151 yards, whatever it is, especially coming off the game he had against Tennessee, where he could not put up those kind of numbers, do you think that's enough to get them over? And Dak doesn't have to throw like every other quarterback?
Because their defense is good. If they can dominate time possession, the physicality of that style of play, it's still very, very effective. We know this has been a record-breaking year as far as throwing the ball, but you got to play to your strong suit. Don't try to be someone else. That's what they should be shooting for. 240 to 280 yards passing. Man, Zeke's got to touch the ball 25 times. Every game, and I think the Cowboys will be able to live with the results.
It just gives your margin of error in that spot. It's still, if that's your path to victory, your margin of error is almost non-existent. If that's your path to victory, you need plays like this from Leighton Vander Esch on a 3rd and 2 when it looked like Philly was going to go tie the game. This was as good of a defensive play as you're going to see. He has nothing but green grass ahead of him. And, he's blocked on the play by 2 guys, and neither one can make it's not a well-executed block, but still, he has to go make that play as a rookie or as anybody. Turning that 3rd and 2, what was going to be 1st and first and 10 from the maybe 15 into a 4th and 7. That was the biggest defensive play. It's just so hard to win with that method. And you can't, as great as Zeke is, he had, even by his standards, a spectacular game last night. And that's hard to just rely on week in, week out.
Another thing with the Eagles, too, you could tell they really miss Lane Johnson, their best offensive lineman. Even on that screen pass, he's on that right side. He knocks Van Der Esch out of bounds. Back cuts up inside of him. Everyone else was run off during the play. So if they have one of their players back in there, one of the big differences in the Eagle, no Lane on that right side.
All right, well, the Cowboys get their first road win of the year, and it's a big one over the Philadelphia Eagles. We got to take a break. We'll talk about this game a lot more. But on the other side, is it time to worry about Tom Brady and the Patriots? That's next on First Things First. Drama classes are on Saturday.
Did you guys see the injury report?